Good evening. On behalf of Harvard University, the John F. Kennedy School of Government, the Institute for Social and Economic Policy in the Middle East, the Harvard Institute for International Development, and the Institute of Politics, welcome. Tonight is a special occasion. It marks the first appearance at an American university by one of the central figures in the peace process that continues to unfold in the Middle East, a process that has absorbed the attention of the entire world. It was our guest tonight who came to the White House in September 1993 and shook the hand of the Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin, who will himself join us in this forum next month. And with that historic handshake, our guest helped set in motion an important and unprecedented process of reconciliation and of hope. We are very grateful to have him here with us tonight. When the leaders of the Israeli and the Palestinian peoples set their hands to the peace accord signed in September of this year, Mr. Rabin said of the occasion, "Only poets dreamt of it." We have a few of those poets here in our midst tonight. The Kennedy School's Institute for Social and Economic Policy in the Middle East has long been engaged in promoting economic cooperation as a path towards peace. Through the vision and generosity of the Kenneth and Evelyn Lipper Foundation, and through the active participation of individuals such as Dwight Perkins, Leonard Hausman, and Bashara Bakbak, the Institute is providing technical assistance to the Palestinian National Authority on matters of fiscal and monetary policy. Others here, such as Herbert Kellman, Everett Mendelsohn, and Walid Haladi, to name only a few, have also strongly devoted themselves over the years to the cause of peace in the Middle East and have done much to make an occasion such as this one possible. Our guest tonight emerged on the international scene in 1969 after he was chosen to lead the Palestine Liberation Organization. He has since become a major figure in the history of the Middle East in this century, and he has gained wide respect for the persistence of his leadership and for his complete and loyal commitment to the Palestinian cause. Recently, he has helped bring new hope to the world community through his role in the Middle Eastern partnerships that are laying the foundation for lasting peace. In recognition of those efforts, he was named one of the recipients of the Nobel Peace Prize in 1994. Also, in 1994, he was chosen to preside over the Palestinian National Authority, formed in the aftermath of the Mutual Recognition Agreement with Israel. He has emphasized the importance of economic development and the useful role that the international community can play in advancing such development. Last month, as our guest stood on the White House lawn, he said, "Today, I tell you with courage and a sense of responsibility that our participation in the great peace process means that we are betting everything on the future." We who are assembled here this evening recognize the historic importance of that wager. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very pleased to welcome the head of the Palestinian National Authority and chairman of the Palestine Liberation Organization, Yasser Arafat.
Assalamu alaikum, shalom. In Hebrew, shalom. In Arabic, assalamu alaikum. And good evening. I have, first of all, I refuse to read what they had prepared for me. Some 10 pages is very difficult with my poor language. With my poor language to read 10 pages is a lot. And I want to speak from my heart, not from my tongue. First of all, I have to thank His Excellency Neil Rodenstein for this invitation. Many thanks to give me this opportunity. And especially to have it here, where? In Harvard. And it is enough in everywhere all over the world to say Harvard, and it's enough to say Harvard. And not only for its prestige, but its old and its name, its technical, its cultural, all this together internationally means Harvard. So I have to thank you to give me the opportunity to be in Harvard, and especially in front of all this audience, your students. So please not to squeeze too much, not to squeeze me too much with your questions. I hope not. I have also to thank Kennedy School of Government for his interesting in the Palestinian cause, which we cannot forget too. It is a privilege from Your Excellency and from this governmental school for what we are doing here. I am very happy to have PB in this night here in Harvard. And if they will write about my history, they will write a paragraph that one day I was in Harvard. This is the truth. To accept or not to accept, this is the truth. Yes or no, Abu Omar? This is the truth. To accept or not to accept, this is the truth. So, many thanks to give me this opportunity. And especially, this will strengthen, no doubts, the peace process. Because this is not only a hint from Your Excellency and from Harvard University, but it is something which will enable us to strengthen more and more the foundation of the peace process in the Middle East. And the peace in the Middle East is not only a Palestinian need, not only an Israeli need, it is an international need. But peace is not only something to sign in the White House. Peace is more difficult. So it needs all our efforts together, and it needs your help so that we can, all of us, push together the peace process in its accurate way, and where, in the most important strategic area in the whole world. This is the Middle East. This is the Holy Land. This is the Terra Santa. So we have to be very careful and to put all our efforts so that this land, the land of all the religions from the sky, is glowing. But it has to be beside peace, real peace, as have been mentioned in the Torah, the Old Testament. Let our swords be something we can use in our ground to cultivate it, to agriculture, not to use the swords to kill each other, but the swords to use it as plow. He's helping me in the translation. But to use this sword in agriculturing the land, which is more important than anything else. Can we do it? This is the real challenge which we are facing. A real challenge which we are facing. Yes, we will do it. We will do it. We will do it. Because the peace is irreversible, irreversible. No return, no other choice but to continue in the peace process. And before that, the Jews were our cousins. To accept or not to accept, historically, they are our cousins. We are all from Abraham. But now, they are not only our cousins. They are our neighbors, our partners. And all of us, we are in need of your help to strengthen more and more these steps, this platform of the peace in the whole area. And when we are speaking in the whole area, I mean it. And we have to push forward with the Syrian track, with the Lebanese track, so that we can have, because all of us were in Madrid, and all of us had accepted President Bush initiative. So we hope that we can have the same success with the Syrian track, with the Lebanese track, to have comprehensive, lasting, peaceful solution in our area. We will get it, no doubt, because there is no other alternative but to continue in this peace process. But let me speak frankly with you. And it is very important here in Harvard not to play games. I am in Harvard. So I have to speak frankly, from heart to heart. From my heart, I hope that not from my mouth to your ears, but from my heart to your hearts. That this peace is in need of your help, as our friend Mr. Leber have done. And I have to thank you in front of all of them for what you had offered for this. What is important is to push forward the peace process, and very quickly. Why? we have to understand that we are facing oppositions. But Mr. Rabin is lucky because he is only facing one opposition, while I am facing 4 oppositions. He is facing some opposition in Israel, or maybe here, but I am facing truly many kinds of oppositions, Islamic oppositions, to speak frankly, Islamic opposition, Arab opposition, Palestinian opposition, Christian opposition. But I am sure that me and Mr. Rabin will continue in front of all the oppositions which both of us are facing, because we are sure that this is the only way, not only for both of us as human beings, no, for our next generations, for our next generations to live peacefully in the land of peace, for our children to live peacefully, freely in the land of peace, which is more important than anything else. And for this, we had called it the peace of the braves, putting in our consideration the very difficult obstacles which we are facing. But what had happened is very important, as I have mentioned, not only for the Israelis and for the Palestinians. It is, the peace is an international need. International need. And what had happened will prove for everybody, will give the proof for everybody that irreversible step towards strengthening the peace in the land of peace, in the Terra Santa, in the Holy Land. And I hope that through the honest and accurate implementation from the two sides will help us to carry on with these very difficult circumstances which we are facing. For your information, it is not easy what we are facing from the fanatic groups who are insisting to sabotage the peace process. And when I am speaking about fanatic groups, from the two sides, from one in our side, or some in our side, and the other in the other side. And as I have mentioned, for this we had called it the peace of the braves. But we are insisting to carry on. And we are sure that we will succeed. No doubt of it. This is what it is. Not only I am a strong believer. It is not only a humanitarian signals. No. This is something coming from the sky. I'm seeing it. And believe me, I saw it when my plane was crashing on the desert between Libya and Egypt. I saw it. Maybe nobody can believe me, but I saw it with my eyes. And this is the moments of the truth, because we were crushing. I saw that clearly and obviously. So it is not only a humanitarian or signal, it is a signal from the sky to bring the peace in the land of peace, and not only to put aside our swords, but to use it in agriculturing the land for the sake of our two peoples, for the sake of the humanitarian communities. I am sorry that I have a lot to speak, but I am in my language is very poor, so that I cannot express what I want to say in Arabic. But I hope that I will cover the next what I am feeling through your questions and my answers. I hope so. I am not coming here to make an intellectual presentation. No, I am coming here to speak frankly for a very important issue in the Middle East, in the whole world: peace. Peace in the land of peace, which is more valuable than anything else. And as I have mentioned, this is the peace of the braves, and we are ready to sacrifice, and it's worth to sacrifice ourselves for the sake of this peace, which is not easy. Thank you again, Mr. Stein, for giving me this opportunity. And if you permit for me to say that I am ready for any question, open question, without any reservation.
Before taking questions from the floor, I'd like to turn to a member of the Harvard family and a representative of the Kennedy School's visiting committee, Rita Hauser, to ask the first question. Rita Hauser has been closely involved in and a strong supporter of the Middle East peace process, as well as someone who has been instrumental in helping to arrange this important visit today. After her question, we will open the floor to others. Rita.
Thank you very much, President Rudenstein. My dear friend, President Arafat, you know well that so many of us who worked for and dreamt about the peace that's unfolding are as warm in our hearts as you. But we are also working for and dreaming of a new Palestine, a democratic, free, secular Palestine that will take its place in the world community. I wonder if you could share your thoughts with this audience about the first stage of that democratic development, the elections that are now scheduled for January. How do you see the elections unfolding? Will the Hamas participate in the elections? And what do you think the end results will be?
First of all, I have to mention for you, she is an older friend of mine. And and I'm proud of it. And we had worked together for this moment to achieve real peace. And he worked hard for that. We are looking to have democratic states. التعددية يعني pluralism, democracy, justice. It's not easy to say only slogans. No, you don't. You know it is not easy because we are facing very difficult circumstances. But what I can do, I promise you, all of you, I promise you, my friend Rita, I promised all of you that we will do all our best to have this democracy, pluralism, and justice. And we hope that in the next election, which we hope that it will be next in January, if everything will go smoothly, accurately, in the exact times. But it is not easy also. Because we have to put in our consideration that we haven't a magic sticks. A magic stick is not with your hand. I haven't the stick of Musa.
A magic wand.
Magic wand. Wand. We call it stick. In Arabic, we call it stick. In Arabic, we call it stick. But in any case, you know, he's our prophet. And we haven't his magic. But when I'm speaking about stick, not only as a magic one, no, but we are obliged to use the carrots and the stick. For this, I am speaking about the stick. Why? Because, for your information, as an example, when we arrived to Gaza, we found very difficult situation. And believe me, it wasn't easy. We found many stores. We confiscated it full of arms. Not only that, we had faced oppositions which had declared obviously and clearly they are against the peace process. I know that you had criticized me when I had established the state security courts. And you were one of them. You had criticized me. Why you had established this state security courts? I will tell you the story, if you permit me. We arrested a group, 3 persons belong to this terrorist group of Abu Nidal. I don't know if you hear something about that. And they were preparing to assassinate the leadership. So, after making the first invitation, we sent them to the court. But to what court? To the civilian court, our normal court. But I was shocked when they had been released. How? My brother Jamal Sorani is a lawyer. He is against, for your information, he is against the State Security Court too. And I was shocked. How they had confessed that they are coming to assassinate the leadership. They are against the peace process. So, after making investigation, I discovered that the whole court received a threat in the telephone. If not be released, you will be killed. And it was in our first arrival. So I was obliged in that night directly to form the State Security Court. And I received from America alone 59 protests against the State Security Court. How? This is against democracy, this is against. Yes, but you have to understand our situation. We had arrived, as an example, no girl can walk in the street alone when we had arrived. They had been threatened with acid to their faces from these fanatic groups. Now, I would like that you can ask those who were with us in Gaza and see what is the whole social change which happened in Gaza. But it had been done by using the stick and the carrots. The carrot was the dialogue. Open the dialogue, but in the same time, everyone has to respect the law, has to respect what had been signed by me. Because I had signed it not by my personal name, I had signed it representing the whole Palestinians. So I was not representing myself when I had signed. This had been agreed upon in our PNC, and when we had agreed upon to go to Madrid, it is according to this decision which had been taken in our PNC. And we accept the peace process and President Bush initiative according to this decision taken in our PNC. So, no one has the right, no Palestinian have the right to oppose it. This means that they are against democracy. For this, we were insisting to carry on with this dialogue, but at the same time, to do all what we can do to stress upon security. Because the challenge till now that some fanatic groups are still insisting to carry on with their violences and their terrorist activities. And we have to be very careful and to be honest also. Honest with ourselves and honest with our new partners. Not to deceive them. For this, we were insisting to carry on with the two lines. Open the dialogue, but at the same time, they have to respect the law, they have to respect the peace the peaceful agreement which we had signed. The dialogue between Hamas had not been open till now. Had not been open. But for the first time, they asked me, some of them came and asked me, we want to go outside to deal with our leadership outside. So I contacted Mr. Rabin and informed him about this request. He said, if you, according to your guarantee, I have no objection. I told him, I can give you full guarantee, but let us give them the chance. They want to go. There are moderate currents in this Hamas group and with the other fanatic groups. Let them try, and we will not lose anything. So we give them the permission to go out, and I contacted President Mubarak to give him the permission to come into Egypt and to go to Sudan and to open the dialogue on Sudan, and they came back to us before my arrival here and said, look, we had decided to stop all these terrorist activities. I said, okay, we'll see. But are you ready to give me the guarantees for that? If not, okay, I will continue in my policy. But to respect the peace process and to protect the peace process in the same time. And they said, okay, we are ready to open now dialogue with you. But we didn't open the dialogue till now.
I will open the floor to questions now, and there are, I believe, 4 microphones around the room, and I'll simply go in rotation. I would ask you, please, to make your questions brief in the form of questions rather than statements. I have no magic stick nor any carrots, but in the spirit of the evening and in the spirit of wanting to give as many people as possible a chance to ask, I would appreciate following that guideline. And I think upstairs was the next person.
Hello, Mr. Arafat. My name is David Abrams. I'm a sophomore at the college, and I know you mentioned before you hoped that you wouldn't get Harvard students to squeeze you too much, so I will attempt to follow your wishes, but I will try and squeeze you a little bit.
Don't worry, you can squeeze me.
I can. My question is about, is one question that when I'm talking to other students, I've heard raised quite a bit and nobody seems to know the answer to, so I will pose it to you. Why has the segment of the PLO charter that calls for the destruction of the State of Israel not been repealed yet? Is there a process in motion now to get it repealed, or what are the reasons that it hasn't been yet?
You have to put in your consideration that it had been changed. You will ask me how. Exactly like in the same process of the American Charter and American Constitution. Amendments. In 47, for the first time, our PNC said we are ready to establish our, in 1974, sorry. In 1974, our PNC, in a clear resolution, said we are ready to establish our Palestinian National Authority in any part from which the Israeli withdrew. This is the first amendment. Second, when we accept after making a dialogue between Mr. Cyrus Vance and the Egyptian Foreign Minister Ismail Fahmy. And I was, during that period, me and Jamal Surani, Mr. Jamal Surani, my brother, we were with President Sadat together. When they contacted us and offered to us the first we are ready, when we said that we are ready to participate in the peace process took place in Geneva. You remember after in 1974, 74 and 75 and 77 and so on. It was in 77. But they put conditions. Joint Arab delegation with PLO low-level representation. With PLO low-level representation. And we had agreed upon, yes or no? We had agreed. And the telephone. We were in the telephone with President Sadat and informed his foreign minister, Mr. Ismail Fahmy, and said, inform Mr. Cyrus Vance we are accepting low-level representation of PLO. Why? Because we were looking to achieve real peace and to go to participate with Geneva Conference. And I had already appointed one of the intellectuals, Palestinians, you know him, Dr. Edward Said, as our representative. He has his Palestinian origin, but have American nationality, the same Dr. Ibrahim Abloghod and Dr. Hatem Husseini, who had died recently with cancer. And I accepted for it. Then, after that, in '88, we have this famous, important meeting took place in Algiers, in which, for the first time, our council, PNC, accept 242 and 338 our PNC is our parliament, Palestinian National Council. And this is what he's speaking about, the covenant. Covenant had been written before my being in the before being elected as a chairman of the PLO, because two were before me, Mr. Shukeri and Mr. Yahya.
But are you attempting to amend it now so that you do not have?
Give me.
Go ahead.
I accept your squeezing, but give me a chance to complete my my answer. For the first time, we mentioned 242, accepting 242, 338, and two states solution. The Israeli state and the Palestinian state. And if you remember, when I was trying to come to address the General Assembly here in New York, they refused to give me the visa. And then a resolution had been taken, and the mountain shifted, the General Assembly. The mountain shifted to Geneva, where I have the ability to speak to them, to address them about this very important resolution taken by our Palestinian National Council. 242, 338, and two states solution. What is the meaning of two state solutions? That we are recognizing the state of Israel. And after that directly, if you remember, the American administration opened the talks with us directly. And when they asked me about the covenant in Paris, after 1 week from that, I gave my famous expression, kaduk. You know what the meaning of kaduk what is the meaning of kaduk in English?
Null and void.
Null and void. The covenant. Exactly something similar to the American. We can't, if we, and this I have mentioned it today with some very important leaders here, Jewish leaders, that if I will deceive you if I will tell you that I will cancel what will be written in the covenant, because this is not my responsibility and no one can do it. But we can make amendments, something similar to what had been done in the American Constitution. Clear and obvious. And not only that, we, in 91, we agreed upon for President Bush initiative, and not only that, to participate in Madrid conference on the platform of 242 and 338, with whom we are going to negotiate with Israel, and with whom we had done the agreement with the Israeli government, and the Oslo agreement, which I had signed, had been accepted in our Central Council. So this is the amendments which had been already done by us concerning the old phrases and items in the Old Covenant. In the Old Covenant. The Kaduk Covenant. The Kaduk. Kaduk in the French, Kaduk is a French, I'm speaking to intellectuals, you know Kaduk.
Good evening, Mr. Arafat. Welcome to Harvard.
Good evening.
My name is Peter Weinman. I'm a student here at the Kennedy School. I also expect not to squeeze you too much. My question for you is a simple one. Now that you are firmly enmeshed in the peace process with Israel, and now that, excuse me, now that you have shaken Yitzhak Rabin's hand and gone ahead with establishing a Palestinian homeland and are clearly on the road to peace, and have won what is arguably the most prestigious recognition in the world, the Nobel Prize for Peace, why is it that in your recent speeches do you still call for jihad, sacrifice, and death?
I had heard this slogan many times since I went to Johannesburg, because the first time I had used it in Johannesburg. After my visit to Johannesburg, during the period of when Mandela was inaugurated Johannesburg. You have to understand our terminologies, and especially you here in Harvard. I am studying. I am a civil engineer. I am a civil engineer, but I am studying all the terminologies. I am trying to educate myself with all terminologies. The American terminologies, the French terminologies, the European terminologies, the British terminologies, the Jewish terminologies, the Christian terminologies, the Islamic terminology. You have to understand our terminology to understand what I have mentioned. When I went to Johannesburg, I had been invited to pray in the mosque. with the Islamic community there. Most of them are, the majority of them are from India and from Pakistan. But I found the traces of the Iranian fingers there. Big slogans against peace process. And saying we will continue in our jihad. We will continue in our jihad. Do you think that here I have to speak with my Islamic terminology? Definitely not. I have to speak with different terminology. But with them, I have to teach them with their terminology, with my terminology, the Islamic terminology, what is saying is wrong. Because our Prophet Muhammad, when he returned from his battles, he said that we had finished the small jihad. And now we are starting the grand jihad. They asked him, what is, we were in the jihad. We were in the battles. What is this grand jihad? Jihad for the social affairs, for the humanitarian aspects, for establishing the states. This is what Muhammad had mentioned. So I was teaching them that what they are using, the terminology of jihad they are using is wrong. Now, after the peaceful agreement, we have to use the grand jihad for establishing our state. And I had repeated it in front of all my masses to tell them that what they are saying is not the real Islam. The real Islam now, after the peace process, is to establish the states. This is the grand jihad, and not what they are saying about the small jihad. This is the terminology which I am speaking. But I am sorry, I was shocked when that Abu Ammar is returning back to speak about jihad. You have to understand what is the meaning of grand jihad, which I was obliged to explain to our masses, to those who are trying to use the Islam against peace process. Thank you.
Mr. Arafat, my name is Ruzbe Peruz. I'm a student here at the Kennedy School. Since you seem to enjoy being squeezed, I won't resist the temptation. Don't
worry.
My question goes to your conception of nation building, especially as that relates to developing political institutions and institutions of civil administration. And I was wondering what countries you believe the Palestinian National Authority should model itself after, and to what extent it can or should model itself after Israel, which after all seems to be quite a successful example of nation building in a relatively short period of time and in the same region.
The Israeli democracy we respect, no doubts. I respect it. Personally, I respect it. But we have our own خصوصية particularity. We have our own. And for your information, and we are proud of it, it is famous, and you can ask my friend Rita Howard because Rita Hafzar, that when she came to and followed up our democracy during the very difficult period of our revolution, which we called it the most difficult democracy in the world. You know why? Because this was the democracy in the jungle of guns. Democracy in the jungles of guns. But in spite of this, we were proud of our democracy. For your information, when our PNC had accepted what I had mentioned just now, two states solution, believe me, 520 hours of dialogue, of discussion. In all levels, till we have been able to go to our PNC and to our PNC to accept it. Can you imagine this? This had not been done in any revolution. You know what is the meaning of revolution. Revolution is one region. Mr. Surani, he is the Secretary General of the Executive Committee. Till now, he is not accepting all Oslo agreements. He has his remarks of Islam. Yes or no, my brother? He has his own reservation for some points. But in spite of that, we were together in the non-alignment candidate movement meetings in Cartagena and here in the United Nations. And he participated with me in putting some his remarks in before for my letter, which I had addressed the two meetings in Cartagena, in the non-alignment candidate movement, and here in the United Nations. This is the democracy. We are respecting. Politically, we can understand your position. To be against or to be with. But you haven't the right to use your weapons against the peace process. This is our democracy. This is our democracy. For this, we were against these fanatic groups. And we are against all their activities. But to be politically against what we are doing, okay. This is where not all the people had accepted what the prophets had mentioned. And what the prophets had said. So we can't expect that everybody will accept our points of view. So this is the democracy. This is the special circumstances of our country. But those who had succeeded to establish the democracy in the jungle of guns, definite, will succeed to establish the democracy in their states. And I invite you to come to see by yourself the next campaign in our election. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm advised that we have reached the hour of 7:30. There will be a reception upstairs, but before I close, I do want to recognize Professor Shirley Williams. I don't know exactly where she is, member of the House of Lords, and who has a question, I believe, for our distinguished guest. All right.
Mr. Arafat, you spoke very movingly about your faith in peace in the Holy Land. And I wanted, if I might, to press you on the heart of that Holy Land, the holy city of Jerusalem. I wonder if you can tell us whether you see any kind of solution in which the interests and concerns alike of the Palestinians, the Israelis, the Jordanians, and the Christian community can be met in that holy city.
First of all, Jordanian, why Jordanian? Why not to say Egyptian? Why not to say Syrian? Why not to say Algerians? Why not say Moroccans?
Please add them all.
Palestinians and Israel, I can understand. But Jordanian, why?
Well, you're welcome to add the others if you wish.
No. Jordanian, no. If you have to speak Jerusalem for the whole nation, okay, you can say internationally, not Jordan. But in any case, I can understand because you had heard what had been given to Jordan, which had been rejected by the Islamic Conference, for your information.
I have heard that.
Jerusalem, according to the agreement between of Oslo agreements, will be in the third stage to be discussed. Jerusalem, refugees, and settlements, and the final borders, the 4 items. So, in the top will be Jerusalem. And I know, and it had been declared, not now, not that Israel had annexed the eastern, or what we call the Quds. The Quds is the eastern part of, or the eastern Jerusalem is the Quds, which had been occupied since 67. We have a letter of guarantees from the American administration that until the final discussion, nothing will be changed in the holy city. And in the same time, this had been accepted by the Israeli government when they signed Oslo Agreement, that it will be discussed on the final agreement in the third stage. If there is a will, there is a way. No doubt. And we had found many solutions for the very difficult issues till now. And one of these very difficult issues is Jerusalem. And we are sure that as there is a will, goodwill, there will be a way. And we are sure that we'll find a solution for it. As an example, only as an example. I thought I haven't the right to give now a final description or final solution. But as an example, Rome is a state of 2 cities, two states. It's the capital of 2 states, Rome, the capital of Vatican, and the capital of the Italian government. Without it, why not to have, okay, Jerusalem is a capital for 2 states without Wailing Wall, without Berlin Wall, without Berlin Wall. Mm-hmm. United, open, coexistence, living together. Do you think that in the future, this peace will be that I will say in this way and say, no, I don't want to speak to you. I have to open economics to relation. Accept or not accept. And I had offered for the economic situation Benelux, like between Belgium, Luxembourg, and Holland. Why not? So if there is a will, there is a way. And I'm sure that with goodwill mission, we will have that very accurate line directed to the good solution for all of us for Jerusalem.